Hello. So yeah, my name is Emile. I'm co-founder of Smith and Sinclair and Pollen.
Right, and obviously the main talking point everyone's gone about now is the lockdown and COVID. What have you been doing to keep yourself busy during lockdown?
I'm actually still working, but the work has changed very, very, very dramatically. So usually my day-to-day, so being the co-founder of Smith and Sinclair and Pollen, what my day-to-day is head of innovation. So all things product, all things new product development, I do. So we have a lot of manufacturing facilities all over the world. So I'll be like dotting back and forth, checking out something in Amsterdam or NY, whatever. Obviously that's completely stopped now, or I'll be doing R&D in my current site. So I'm still doing a lot of that. But what we've had to do is we kind of have to pivot as a business about what we actually do for our consumers. So we're actually doing a lot of just masterclasses, so cocktail masterclasses where people can join in Zoom just like this, and basically I'll give them a run through of a certain select bunch of different cocktails. So yeah, we just got some new product released, and to launch it, we're telling people how to make specific cocktails, because some of the new cocktail flavors in our gummy selections are things like Paloma or spicy margarita, so we're just telling them all about those things. So that's been quite cool.
And what about in your spare time? Are you doing any cooking at all?
Not so much the last couple of days. I've been really going at it actually.
Yeah.
When I stopped cooking professionally, I really pulled back on cooking in my personal life. But since lockdown happened, I've been doing a hell of a lot. I've been fermenting, I've been growing fruit, herbs, even like doing growing mushrooms, which is quite cool. That's very, very taxing to do that. But doing a hell of a lot of cooking and trying out new stuff. Actually stepping into your world, actually doing a lot of baking.
All right. I've done a bit of baking the past couple of days, but nothing impressive at all. I can't find things. So you mentioned earlier that obviously that previously you were chefing within the industry. What sort of chef were you? What sort of parts of the industry were you in previously?
Well, I was working with you for some of it, so you should know that one, right? No, I was a chef for nearly 10 years. I think it was 8.5 years I was a chef. So when I was 17, I say chef, I was in kitchens for that amount of time. So when I was 17, I didn't have any, actually failed every single one of my GCSE apart from one, my art. I got a C in that. So I didn't have many options. So I just kind of went into kitchen, just washing pots. But then it basically progressed to me microwaving things, and then steaming vegetables at my local carvery. And then I decided to start taking chefing seriously. Then I started working in pubs. But the vast bulk of my my career in cooking is just a standard line cook. But then when we worked together, it was the only time I really ever dipped my toes into pastry. So what was it, like 3-4 months in pastry?
We worked together at one rosette restaurant doing pastry for a little bit together, probably about 2 to 3 months, I'd say, maybe a bit longer.
It was 2 rosettes.
It was 2 rosettes.
Yeah.
It was 2 rosettes. You're right.
But yeah, I was there for, I think I was there for 1.5 years. And then for the last couple of months, I was dipping my toes into pastry. For the vast majority of what I was doing was all standard line cook stuff. So just chef to party level until that place actually when I got junior sous.
So you left the restaurant start with your first products, basically. How did you come up with the initial idea for your products that you sell?
Well, actually,
what was the first product really?
So I didn't even leave with the product. The product came shortly after, and then I kept coming back to help out. So I knew I wanted to leave. Chef wasn't happy about that at all. He took me out back and he growled at me for a bit and he spat in my face, whilst not like spat, but like saliva was just spitting out. He was
didn't flame on you, no.
He was an energetic guy. But basically, so Mel Goldsmith, my business partner, she was running a series of board game / dating nights, and I was helping her out with that. I was working as an agency chef at the time, so I knew I wanted to do something for myself, but I didn't know what it was. So I was just doing jobs here and there, a couple of banquet jobs in hotels all over London. So I could pick and choose when I could work, and also when I wasn't working, I was doing something for myself. So I was helping Mel out with that, and it was an invite only dating night that was all about board games. And the idea behind that was, when you were a kid and your mum, dad's guardian, whoever it was, took you to someone else's house, and there was another kid there, same relative age, you've never met this kid before, but you have that one thing in common, and then instantly tactility happens, you become friends, barriers are broken down. And I guess the adult equivalent of that is kind of meeting someone at a music festival, so you have one thing in common. And that was really, I know it's a real visceral thing, what we saw at the event. And then the event became a real success, and it was sold out every single night. And then Mel said to me, could you make a canapé that embodied the night? And it was adults acting like kids. And that's where I came up with the first product, which is our alcoholic gummies, which, that's an empty box. Shameless plug. So yeah.
Plug.
That's nothing shameless about a plug, let me get that. Right. So yeah, the gummies, and the original recipe was a complete fluke. So one thing that, you know, being a pastry chefs are super diligent, and they're organized, and they follow the recipe to the letter, because
80% of the time.
Yeah, it's I think it might have been Chef actually, Donovan that said it. I don't know if he's as philosophical as this, but cooking is philosophy and pastry is chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm a cook, not a pastry chef, but I was kind of dipping my toes into the pastry, and I was acting like a cook. I was putting bashes together, do that. I completely fluked the recipe. It was a gin. It was a gin gummy. It was for the venue owner was friends with a global brand ambassador, and he's like, if you make this gummy, which is, at the time it was just a gin base, but now we have multiple. We have gin, rum, vodka, whiskey. And they're all 5%. They used to be 8%, but we wanted to pull it down. And there's no liquid center, a lot like chocolate liqueurs.
Yeah.
So I kind of fluked the recipe, and the brand ambassador didn't actually turn up to the night. So the venue owner said, why don't you make this and make something with his gin, and then maybe they'll sponsor the night. So I made it. And then everyone at the event loved it. They absolutely, it was the talk of the town. And then he didn't turn up. And then he was invited back. And then I was trying to recreate the recipe.
Right.
I couldn't do it. So basically, it was every 2 weeks the event was. So it's basically staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning every single night, setting off the carbon monoxide alarm, trying to recreate the recipe. And after all that hard work, he finally turned up, and he's diabetic, so he didn't even touch him in the end. But alas, what happened from that was everyone at the event loved it, and then Mel went on to work for this. It was kind of like a members club, but a really, really, really trimmed down version. It's called The Other Club. It was a shared office space by day, venue by night, and then put the gummies there. And then basically we just kept saying yes to every opportunity that people would vote.
So it all started off really with a fluked recipe, bit of a cowboy. And then I suppose you eventually had to make that decision to take the gamble, I suppose, to do this full time. Was there ever that moment, that daunting moment of, I've got to commit, you've got to cross that line? Yeah,
I mean, we're super privileged in the fact that we were both very young. I still don't have any children, so that was obviously a massive help to make one of those big decisions, and I don't own a house, so I didn't have anything to lose. And as a chef, as you know, if you're a skilled chef, you can get a job tomorrow. Obviously not tomorrow.
Not anymore.
Not when the Rona's happening, but in the normal climate, you can get a job any day of the week, I guess, but maybe not the job that you want. So it was quite an easy decision, actually, because agency chef work, I was able to work whenever I wanted. It wasn't guaranteed, but I knew I wasn't going to starve. So it was one of those things that I kept doing agency chef here and there. And then when we thought we had something, then I kind of just stopped doing
Okay, so you get to the point now you're fully committed to your product. What steps did you then have to take to converting it from one or two gummies into a brand, from branding issues to setting up your social medias, your
all of
the paperwork side?
Well, the short answer is just a bunch of failures, and that's probably the best way of doing it, because when you learn through failures, you kind of know what happens. I don't know who said it, but I always use it as an example. An expert is someone who's made every possible mistake in a very specific field. But we were really lucky in that there's a company called Imbibe Live, and it's the biggest mixed drink alcohol trade show in Northern Europe. So usually trade shows, they are there's the wines, there's the spirits, and there's the beers, and they don't usually mix, but this one they all mix together. And someone in marketing found our business, and we managed to basically get linked onto this huge campaign. And the campaign was hashtag Suck It and See, I think it was, but hashtag.
Yes. So I remember the Suck It and See campaign.
Yeah. So it was basically, we made 6,666 of 3 different flavors of our gummies, and then they were sent out to people within the industry, which was overnight. It was ridiculous. But obviously it was just kind of trial and error, and just one thing I found is you'll have an idea in your head on what you want your brand to be. You have a general idea, which you can always stick to the general idea, but the market will always tell you what it wants. So it's kind of about being open to changing when you're wrong. So when making a brand, we've rebranded many times, but you'll never stop. I guess you'll never stop. You'll always keep changing what it is. But I don't know. How do you make a brand? It's really difficult, and it's so incremental, because obviously you need to register as a business. We had to get an alcohol license, and then we had to navigate the laws, because our alcohol isn't liquid alcohol. It's actually an ingredient, and it's a solid ingredient from a liquid base. So all the laws around alcohol are actually about liquid alcohol. So no one really wanted to touch us with a barge pole, because we didn't know where we sat. Do we sit in the alcohol aisle? Do we sit in the confectionery aisle?
Yeah, I suppose that's the thing with your product, having one of its selling points being that it still has the alcohol percentage.
Yeah, and it's really difficult when you have an innovative product. Your biggest challenge is always going to be consumer education. So you have a couple of options. You can either have something middle of the road, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So if you have a product that is something that everyone is familiar with, your issue is going to be standing out. If you have a product like ours, your issue is going to be consumer education, because they're going to look at it and say, oh, it's just sweets. So, oh, it's not. It's actually this and this. So that actually kind of helps bolster a lot of that brand voice and message. The brand thing, I can't really take a lot of credit, because our Mel did a lot of that. She's very she has an amazing vision, whereas I'm very creative. She's the business, I'm the creative. And yeah, it's difficult to give advice on something that's so complex for making a brand. But
so at what point with your brand would you say, was there a standout point when you sat back and went, okay, we've got a successful brand now, we're really where I want to be going?
Really recently, if I'm honest. So we're 6 years old now. But really recently, this makes sense. It's all falling into place. It's weird. So I guess that's a good thing to say. When you have a good brand, you almost feel it as a person. So you could, like, Smith and Sinclair has a very kooky voice. Like, Smith and Sinclair is all about trying to make adult be more fun. So it's about, that adult childlike inhibition, not childlike, but just having that kind of spunky fun. But you can almost imagine it as a person. And always when we have fake people that we market to. So I can't even remember what our people call. I think it's the marketing team. If they see this, they'll be spitting feathers. But it's basically, there is a Nat, there is a Tara, and basically we've given profiles to these people, so they're like archetypes of who we want to be selling to. It's like, would Tara want this? So it's really good to have a hype. That's another good thing to say. It's always good to have a very specific audience in mind. Don't be too broad.
No, that makes sense. I suppose it's getting the balance of, where you have such a specific product, you're being quite a fun, youthful, cheeky product. You've got to get it to the right people. Like you say, with the shop art example, you can't get that tucked away in the wrong place because the people you're aiming for won't see it.
Yeah,